Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around fantasy Premier League. My name is Sush.
And my name is James.
So they finally did it to you, did they, James Tottenham? They finally made you sick.
Yeah, sorry. Apologies to everyone. I'm feeling quite under the weather today. But I have been since Saturday afternoon. So I thought I could drink through it before the game yesterday. Shout out to Ryan Reynolds. David Hunter, who I met in the Arkles outside the Anfield Road yesterday. Had a couple of drinks. So I'm probably Tottenham putting my mental state through it yesterday probably didn't help. But a bit of positivity actually for a change.
What does Mrs. L say? Is it your fault for fucking following them all around the world and flying to Spain and coming back and going to Liverpool?
Not really.
That's
just
a bad impression.
Stay
just
away.
Stay at home.
Stay away from me. It's probably
Stay
more
at
like
home.
it.
Well, look, you got a point, so it can't be that bad.
No, I'm right. I've got man flu. I just got a little bit of man flu. Just the guys know we suffer with it now and again, don't we? Yeah. We'll power
has to be. Alrighty, cool. Well, let's talk about Gameweek 30. There's still a game to go tonight. Brentford obviously still playing. I know you've still got 3 to go today, so could change. And obviously it's against Wolves, bottom of the table, so it could change quite dramatically for a lot of people. I've still just got Igor Thiago to go, so it won't change dramatically for me because he's about 70-80% EO where I am, James. So I think for him to affect my rank in a positive way, I need about 30 points from him or something like that to make it worthwhile. So, meh.
I'm definitely not counting any chickens having 3 players left to go that this game week might suddenly look good. I've been here before, 3 players to go on a Monday night football and it's blown up and like 1 point between the 3 of them and stuff like that. So not a great game week for me so far, sitting on 38
Go
points.
on, tell us.
Kelleher, Utara and Thiago to go. Captain Ekitike. No regrets. I think that we'll talk about the game. Obviously, Tottenham approached the game a little bit more sensibly than what they've been approaching games recently. Gabriel 9, James Hill 8 was quite handy this week. Fernandes 10, but that's obviously a loser in the book for me. So yeah, nothing else to speak about. Dropped to 19k. Don't imagine even if the 3 Brentford guys go off, I don't think that'll end up in a green arrow for me. So, mind you, the way this game week's gone, I should probably expect 11 points, shouldn't I? 6 from Kelleher, 3 from Utara, and 2 for Thiago, mate. 0-0. Let's move on.
You had a good bench boost though this week.
How many times did I say to you game week 30 was the out? Yeah, Verbruggen 7, Anderson 7, Chow 9, Rodgers the inevitable 2. Rodgers was only ever going to be 1 or 2, wasn't he?
14, 16, 20,
I
25?
have to say,
is my maths right?
Had I held through to bench boost this game week, I would have sold Malik Chow.
Okay.
I wouldn't have kept him for Chelsea away. I'd have gone for something that looked better. It might have been the Sunderland defender. I don't know. So I don't think it would have been quite that high. But the return would have just Anderson and Verbruggen would have been fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, I looked at the Bournemouth Burnley game because I had Dubravka and James Hill on my bench and thought, I don't see a 0-0 there, so I'm not going to bother with it. And that was 14 points there. I had Alderete on my bench for another 2 as well. So I could have got away with, if I got 16 off my bench boost, I'd have been happy with that as well. I ended up with 40 points as it stands with Thiago to go. I've so many red arrows in a row, mate. I was going to rename my FPL team Tottenham because you were on a 5-game losing streak and I was on a 5 red arrow losing streak. You amended that yesterday, so I can't do it. But my FPL team is still on a slide down to 1.2 million. Gabriel, like you. Bruno Fernandes, like you. Jared Bowen, not like you. Nothing else. Blanks from Timber, who went off injured. Blank for Virgil. Sanchez with a save point, but still nothing. Bumo's been garbage for weeks. I've had nothing off him. I can't even remember the last time I had a return off him. Declan Rice, Enzo Fernandez, and captain, same as you, Ekitike for a 1-pointer. When I saw the Liverpool team drop, I really did think, oh, they don't rate Spurs.
No, same. We were laughing about it in the pub.
Wow, they don't rate Spurs at all.
I have to say,
there
was no conversation of, oh, we've got a chance now.
I get that because they still had enough to get away with it. But I guess, I mean, we can't rely on Liverpool. They haven't been good this season. Even when they beat us 5-2, like it wasn't a stellar Liverpool performance. So we'll get to that game eventually, no doubt. But yeah, 40 points, another red arrow, 1.2 million. I think I know what I'm going to do this week because it's pretty boring. I've got 3 blankers in Timber, Gabriel and Rice. And I also have a blanker in Potts, who's obviously not getting into the West Ham team at the moment. Potts to Harry Wilson, and then log out and come back after the games in 31, where I think I'll be wildcarding into 32, but I won't be hitting the button straight after the deadline passes.
So you've got no City at the moment.
No City and no Palace, no Wolves. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not bothered about City, to be honest.
No, but you might be on Friday
if they announce it.
Just a reminder to everyone: hold those transfers, guys. Wait for Friday, particularly if it involves your idea of selling Manchester City players. If Manchester City or Crystal Palace go through in Europe, and we still project Crystal Palace to go through, then obviously the fixture won't happen in 31 or 32. If they both go out, then there's every chance it's going to happen. 32 would be more likely than 31, but I think there is a feeling that maybe City would like 31 under that circumstance, because they play Chelsea on the Sunday in 32, keeps their midweek clear before the Arsenal game. Not that it matters now, I don't think. So we need
That's
to be
the
aware of
Arsenal
that.
League game, just to be clear, not the Cup.
The
Cup's
Arsenal
this
League
week,
game, yes, correct.
Is there anything psychologically for City? Like, if they can beat Palace, then obviously the gap closes, right? So you want to be in a position to have the gap as small as possible psychologically. So
if they beat Palace and they win at Chelsea and then they beat Arsenal, they're probably still 3 points behind.
Yeah,
and their goal difference is slightly worse, but I realise that would change the circumstance, but the goal difference would probably be quite level. So Arsenal have to lose another football match somewhere, and Manchester City need to be perfect, and I'm telling you, they're not going to be.
No. I saw that firsthand on the weekend, James. So, yeah, indeed. Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of these games, and we can talk about what's fantasy relevant or not for your teams. I know so many people still with Wildcard coming up, so looking quite short term in terms of who and what they're picking.
Before we do that, can I ask you a question? Because I don't know the answer to it, and I kind of want your thoughts on it. So let's say City and Palace do both go out in Europe, and obviously the deadline for game week 31 is Friday.
Yeah.
The game week ends on Sunday. What would happen under a circumstance where City v Palace was announced for 31 on Monday?
When you say what would happen, I mean, what do you mean?
What I'm saying is,
would FPL change it so that it was
presumably
the deadline for 32 was brought forward? Or are you saying?
No, what I'm saying is presumably on Sunday they'll run auto subs and stuff after the final game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it was announced to go into the midweek before 32 on Monday, what happens? I don't know the answer.
They would have no option if they've run the auto subs.
But
if they've run auto subs and to bring the 32 deadline to just before kickoff of the City Palace game.
I think you're probably right. They won't want to do that.
Yeah, that'll be the Wednesday before the weekend set of fixtures. So you're bringing it. Is there a Friday night game in 32? There is, isn't there? So we're playing Wolves. So you're talking about bringing it forward 48 hours. If they play on the Wednesday, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad, but they won't want to do that.
Because
Well, it just went with it. That when historically have they ever brought a deadline forward? How many times have we had it where there's been games on a Saturday, Sunday, and then there's like one game extra on a Thursday, and it's not that they bring the deadline forward to a Thursday. They don't do that.
No,
It
they
just
extend it.
stays part of the week. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think they want to do that. But under that circumstance, which I don't think would happen, but we've got to think about it. That's probably what would happen. However, let's take a different circumstance. Let's say they announce Saturday morning that the games for the midweek of the European first legs, then it just gets added, doesn't it?
It gets added. In that
Yeah.
situation, if the game week hasn't finished, then yeah, for sure, it just gets added. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
me and David will cover off what the perms are again on the weekend or on Friday once we know what City and Palace have done in Europe. Obviously, as said, if either go through, it's not happening 31 or 32, and you won't need to worry about it. But my advice to people probably would be with the likes of Haaland, Semenyo, on Friday, if City and Palace have both gone out of Europe, bust them in your team. Or not just those players, O'Reilly, Hume, bust them in the team. How gutted are you going to be if you leave them on the bench and don't play Palace at home?
The classic bench wankery. Just
Yeah,
do
but
it. Just do it.
It is bench wankery, but it's also the logical move.
It's
if
the right
that's
thing
where
to
we're
do.
sitting on Friday.
Absolutely, it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do games.
Alrighty, let's start with the thriller at Turf Moor. Burnley
There's
nil.
been thrillers all weekend, hasn't it?
It has been.
Manchester United scored 25% of the goals in this game week. That's mental, isn't it?
A quarter of the goals? No
It's been
way.
12 fucking goals, mate. So
It
just
has
counting
as
them.
well. I'm counting them. Yeah, it doesn't feel like as low as that. Yeah, fair play. All right, so just keep things
Only
snappy then.
only 4 out of 9 teams at home scored.
Yeah.
Messy,
Yeah.
messy game week. I think it needs if there isn't 3 goals or more in the Brentford Wolves game tonight, it's the lowest ever Premier League game week for goals when all
Wow.
20 teams have played.
Okay. Wow.
It's 12 goals in 9 games, mate. It's not normal.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I
That is crazy.
remember when I used to work in the bookies back in the day, there was a lad who used to write in the racing post called Kevin Pullen. I don't know if he still does. Kind of very analytical before we all got into an analytical world. And he always used to write every year about the fact that March was the lowest scoring month on average in the Premier League consistently. It would be the lowest scoring month. The highest, by the way, regularly, as in goals per game, would be April.
Straight after.
Just to note that, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we take away from Burnley versus Bournemouth? We know that Burnley, obviously, dead and buried. Bournemouth should have won, right? I mean, both teams had chances, but
yeah.
on the quality of it, maybe like if we're saying Bournemouth should have won, it's a 51-49 type
Easily
situation.
could have gone the other way. I mean, anyone who's got clean sheets out of this actually is a bit lucky. This wasn't really a 0-0 game. They've posted an XG of about 4 between the two of them. It was actually one of the better games in terms of chances over the weekend. 37 shots in the game. Actually a bit weird that this ended 0-0. My biggest takeaway from the game was the position of Rayan. Played on the left. And I don't think that's as suitable. It doesn't mean it will happen again. But he's played out that side. And I'd find that a bit concerning if I was an owner. Now, in most cases, if you've got a player who's playing this game week, you ain't going to deal with it, are you? You're just going to crack on in most scenarios. I think. But I'd be aware of that and a little bit concerned of that. I think if people did want to dive into Bournemouth, which I don't think many will want to do because of United's form at the moment, it would, as Neil Grover said on COTC, it would be Tavernier over Rayan at the moment. Another start for Krupi.
I've got Harry Wilson lined up to come in. Rayan was not even anywhere near my thoughts. A couple of weeks ago, the question mark was Rayan versus Utara versus Sade versus Harry Wilson. Coming into this week, it's not even a debate. Harry Wilson all day long.
No, well, Tavernier would have jumped above Rayan. If people want to go Tavernier, I don't have a particular problem with that. So yeah, I just find that he'd end up going on the outside a little bit more, whereas you want him kind of coming in on the inside, a la the goal against Aston Villa as a good example of that. Adam Smith played at right back, a little bit of a surprise. Alex Jimenez was on the bench. I like Jimenez. He's had a good season, actually. No Tyler Adams for Bournemouth. That'll be a bit of a concern if he's not available for the United game, i.e., more good news potentially for Bruno Fernandes. We really like Tyler Adams as an important player for Bournemouth. For Burnley, switched to a back four and a returnee that we didn't expect, very just randomly, Quilinci Hartman back in the Burnley team in place of Lucas Perez. And that's very relevant for Gabriel Goodmanson owners. Because if you're a Goodmanson owner and you've got nothing in the bank, I think by default you were probably having to look at Burnley. And the two 3.8 defenders they've got are out the team. Worrell and Lucas Perez. So those two have dropped out. Hartman has suddenly come back in from nowhere and played left back as part of a back four. That said, Worrell might be on the table because if you're a Goodmanson and a Maxim Estev owner, you really might have a problem because Maxim Estev went off injured in this one as well. So concern for a few enabling defenders. They played with Foster off the right. Fleming played as well. I don't think we're looking at Burnley. It's more the case of targeting them, I think. Because there'll be a lot of people looking at 1 week punts or 1 week transfers. So I think you are just naturally drawn to look at Fulham this week by virtue of that. So.
Yeah.
But they don't tend to get whacked.
No, they haven't been all season. Like we've talked about Burnley. I was thinking about this prior to the show that there's been occasions where we've talked about them as possibly the worst team in the league. But over the course of the entire season, I don't know if we can necessarily say that.
I think they are the weakest at this moment.
Maybe the weakest, but not they don't.
No, but they're not whipping boys like say Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich felt like they were this time last year. They're not. They're in and around.
Not enough firepower, but again, not like you said. Yeah, you need a lot of luck to go your way if you're going to survive without the number of goals that they've scored overall. Sunderland 0, Brighton 1. I mean, this Stadium of Light fortress is well and truly blown away now. Sunderland are down to 13th, which is still a hell of an achievement at 40 points, but they're kind of stabilised to where we would have maybe expected them to be. Though, the win for Brighton, I was blown away by this. Put some level on points with Sunderland. I really thought that Brighton winning would give them, they'd be like a good 6-7 points clear of Sunderland, but that wasn't quite the case.
No, it's an important win for Brighton to obviously take them up to the 40-point mark.
I suppose it is only 4 points off Brentford it's only 4 points off Brentford in 7th. So they are.
Obviously Brentford can extend that lead tonight. But I mean, if you look at, say, like Newcastle's result on Saturday, that's put them right back in for contention for, say, a Europa League spot. I'd actually expect Newcastle to go on and qualify from Europe from here. For Sunderland, it's 3 home defeats in a row, having not lost at home previously before that. Don't worry. Despite yesterday, there's a doctor that will see you in game week 32, and there's every chance that they'll fix that for you. Injury problems going into this massive game for them next Sunday, the North East Derby at St James's Park. Ballard may have picked up a problem. Angulo missed out. Lefay missed out. We know that Rofes, Reynildo, Mukeli are all aiming to try and be back for that game on Sunday. I think the whole vibe about Sunderland has dropped. I think because they've done so well, I think there was a kind of a sniff of a hope that maybe they'd really get themselves into European contention, and they wouldn't have had to do a lot over this period to actually do so. That said, they've had some half-decent results on the road. Clean sheets and not clean sheets, sorry, but 4 points from their last 2 away games, only conceding 1 across games at Bournemouth and Leeds. You wouldn't be looking at Sunderland for this week, though. I'd be concerned for them, particularly if Ballard is unavailable. They need those 3 absent players back. Although I think Elborg's done okay in goal. He could do very little with a winning goal. Weird goal.
I mean, I suppose we've had 2 crosses that have drifted their way into the back of the net this game week, haven't we?
That's true. We've had 12 goals in 9 games, and 2 of them weren't met. Sorry, Bernardo Silva. I love you. You're a genius, but I'm not having it.
No,
it's
I
a
think
brilliant
he was
cross.
pretty...
Like what he's trying to do is still brilliant because he's done the goalkeeper, but I don't think he was trying to score. Yankuba Minter completely admitted that he wasn't trying to score.
Yeah, exactly that.
And Elborg had no chance because Van Heck was standing like right in his way, but obviously, I think it was Xhaka was trying to close Minter, as obviously ended up playing him on because he's basically landed on the line. So good result for Brighton. I want to shout them out as well because that's a long journey, and I know Sunderland fans were feeding back saying it's probably the best away support to send at the stadium like this year. So fair credit to them because they're not ones that get associated with like being loud support on the road and stuff like that. So I know our correspondent Sam was up there and he had a good day and stuff. And he said the Sunderland fans were amazing up there as well in terms of how welcoming they are. That's quite nice. It helps when there's two sides sitting in mid-table and they've got nothing to worry about. Does help these, if they were 17th, 18th, the two teams, I don't know if it'd been quite so nice.
Might be a bit more needle. Yeah, sure.
Brighton, there's a consideration to look at them. There's a consideration to look at them depending on what strategy you're on, because we're projecting them obviously to double in 33 as it stands. And I don't think Tottenham away, Chelsea at home is it's not 2016 here or 17. Like that's not a terrible double. It's Burnley away before that in 32, and there's every chance they'll give Liverpool a proper game in 31. They picked up a little bit of form. I don't see anything there that would be of interest to me other than the goalkeeper or Van Heck. Like
me neither.
Minter's back in, I'll go and chase that. Or Welbeck, you go and chase that?
No, I'm not. I'd go to Pedro or any. I'd go Sesko, to be honest. Right now is what I was looking at. I'm really looking for differential players at the moment for the run-in. Just to have a little bit of fun. I'm that far behind that I may as well chase it.
Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one because he's played the 10 position for a couple of games in a row now for Brighton. The problem with him is he can end up playing anywhere, and it's Jack Hinchelwood. Who actually had assisted in Gameweek 27 and 28 as well. He's 5.1. I don't know how you go and buy that over Anderson's and Garner's with more guarantee. But if you're looking for a rogue differential,
I've sold Haaland. I've got loads of money. I'm still not in need. I'd go to Keane Dewsbury Hall over him at the same price, mate, to be honest with you. It might be 0.1 more for Keane Dewsbury Hall. Keane Dewsbury Hall is my cheap get out. I just can't see myself going anywhere else. Not to Hinchelwood, anyway.
The other thing to note, if you are looking at Brighton defensively, is Lewis Dunk is obviously one yellow card from a suspension. I think that's the most relevant one for him and probably Moises Caicedo, the most relevant ones for FPL at the moment. So if Dunk, obviously the cut-off is game week 32, so 32nd game. So if he gets booked in either of the next two, he'll obviously miss 2 games after that. So yeah, anytime now, Lewis, if you want to get that booking because you're playing my team in 33. Yep.
Okay.
Please, mate.
Let's talk about Arsenal 2, Everton 0. What were you doing when you were 16, James?
I thought you was going to ask me what I was doing at the weekend. I was going to say to you watching Chelsea Newcastle because I don't need that in my life.
No. What were you doing when you were 16? Because I tell you what,
it's not.
I was doing nothing productive.
No, same.
Yeah, definitely nothing productive at all. I mean, there's more stories within the game. During Timber's gone off injured here and been replaced by Mascara. He wasn't going to play. He wasn't playing Premier League in the coming week anyway. Then we've got the break, so not a problem. I'm immediately looking to fix. I mean, the confidence to be able to shimmy it like just grown men at 16 to be playing like that and doing what he did and take his goal with the confidence that he did. I was just blown away. They got a player there.
When he's running through and he's running to goal, and obviously it must be such a weird feeling knowing that you're about to score as someone that young for the first time. He almost like he slows down, doesn't he? Like, I don't know, like he's taking the moment in or whatever.
Take it in, soak it in, exactly that. He looks over his shoulder to check that no one's going to close him down. He knows now the goal's there. And there's something about left-footed players as well. I don't know what it is. You always, when they have a really nice touch, they always just look a little bit silky. I mean, his cross that creates the first goal as well, such a good ball in. There's more stories to this than just Max Naumann, but yeah, I think my son's 13 turning 14. I'm just looking at it thinking, you're only like 2.5, 3 years older. Like, wow.
I don't think my son's going to be playing football when he's 16 at professional level. That's generally my take. I think
Do you know
it's
the other thing I thought as well? I was like, what must Ethan Nwaneri be thinking right now?
it's probably trying to get Marseille into the Champions League next year or something, I should imagine.
No, but just to think that he was the next big thing, right? When he
Well,
broke
he
into the
still
team at
might
such a
be.
young age. But then has he been overtaken by Max Dalman?
But what's to say Max Dalman isn't going to be on loan at Marseille in a couple of
Yeah,
years? People
true.
say, oh, he's too good or whatever. But at some point, he's going to be, having experienced this now as well, he's going to be knocking on the door going, I want to play
To
regularly.
play proper
I
proper
think
football.
what does speak volumes is the fact that he was trusted in this moment where Arsenal were having a difficult period by all accounts. He's been trusted to go on and try and help them win the game. That's big, really big.
Huge.
So we can expect potential more involvement for him. I think now that that's happened, they've got to be careful though. How many times you've seen it with a kid that age and
Oh, all the
distractions in
time.
life happen,
All
etc.
the
So,
time. All
but
the
there's
time.
there's no doubt the kid is an incredible talent. But I wouldn't think this means always going to start regularly for Arsenal. So
No, no,
we're not
no,
talking
no,
about a
no.
fantasy asset here or anything like that. And kind of as per, you're probably not looking at Arsenal attacking players. In any case, obviously with a blank, and we know that they will blank this week, it's probably more in people's minds, what do they keep and what do they get rid of? So as someone who just owns Gabriel, I'm losing when they keep a clean sheet at the moment, but at least I'm not losing too badly. And I didn't lose to those who went Gabriel and Timber because obviously Timber's gone off. There was a lot of thought that people were suspecting he might get rotated for this one. I didn't think he would because the idea that Ndiaye would play on the left for Everton, we obviously don't know the extent of his injury. I would say, subject to people's strategy, if people know they're going to wildcard in 32, then clearly Arsenal assets are binnable. But if you're on massive value with Gabriel, you don't want to bin that. Whereas I think Timber is probably an easier one to move on. That said, people might have had him since 5.5 or so. Is a
Just having a
possibility.
cheeky look at what I bought him for.
Calafiori played left back, so again, if you had him or Hincapi, that's an easy one to move off. I guess David Raya owners will probably keep and just play Dubravka or whatever their other goalkeeper is this week. Madueke played off the left in this one. Obviously, we'll come back and revisit Arsenal in 32. They will be very popular there, assuming they double in 33, which is so likely. They're obviously going to be popular. And for those who have perhaps used the wild card, there's way more relevance to potentially keeping their players. You might have been going into this thing, I'll bin the City players because I definitely want to keep the Arsenal. But again, that decision
Balance may
probably
shift.
needs to be made on Friday. Everton gave a decent account themselves. When the team dropped, I was straight in the Everton Slack channel and went, oh, I definitely ain't watching that now. No Tarkovsky, no Branthwaite. But it did a right, not helpful to them. The consequence of that is having to play James Garner at right back. But they had moments. I mean, these two incredible moments with Dwight McNeil in the space of about 60 seconds. This one incredible
Good
block
effort
from Calafiori, and then the shot that hits the post, comes back, hits Ndiaye, goes just wide. And
Yeah.
Everton obviously been outstanding in away games this season. So they can take some heart from that. Very, very nearly got something out of it. It felt like a definitive moment, I think. The Gyökeres goal actually was a definitive moment.
Let's talk about Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. Amazing away win for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon back in amongst it, James. Any love for Anthony Gordon? Any desire to come off your Chelsea assets? I got rid of Chalobah a while ago, and I'm quite comfortable with that. Enzo Fernandez, I can't remember the last time I had any kind of decent return of him either. I'm just looking at him, 2, 4, 1, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, 4-pointer.
Is that all it was?
Yeah, last time 8 points was against West Ham in the 3-2. You're going back to Gameweek 24. It's ages ago. Sanchez is rubbish, but I never have luck with goalkeepers. So I'm not loving the Chelsea assets other than maybe João Pedro at the moment.
No, links in nicely. Obviously, they're playing Everton this week. That's one of our Clash of Correspondents this week. So Sean Norton and Gary Mann will be on for that tomorrow. Also doing Tottenham Forest, Ricky Saunders and Mark Southerns on Wednesday as well. I thought Sanchez would play.
Yeah,
and
me too.
He did. And then Rosinia said afterwards that Jorgensen had a minor problem. So we still don't know where we stand. So who's your other keeper? Is it
It's
Dubravka?
Dubravka. Yeah,
So
I'll
you're
play it
just
this
cracking
week.
on with that, aren't you?
Yeah. Not fixing that. No way.
Yeah, agreed. Chelsea's lineup actually was stronger than what I'd anticipated, considering obviously they play PSG again tomorrow night. Obviously, Pedro Neto turned out was suspended. He'll be back available for the weekend trip to Everton. Chelsea's away record is good. Second best
Hmm.
away record in the league. Their home record isn't. They don't sort that out. They won't be finishing top five.
You
They're,
predicted a draw on this, I think, off the back of
no,
their
no,
home record being
no,
rubbish. No, you thought
no.
they'd get through.
I predicted Chelsea to win as well. But yeah, I watched the game and they didn't overly trouble. It didn't have the vibe that they were going to score. Particularly, João Pedro was relatively quiet. It's not a negative reflection on him, and I think he'll be popular still. Those who want to move on Haaland this week will certainly naturally still look at João Pedro. I'll potentially be looking at Jared Bowen maybe as an alternative to that. So I don't really want to chase after Chelsea. João Pedro, if I went for Haaland, kind of feels like a block move. I'm just blocking the
Hmm.
ownership. Not that in love with Chelsea's 31 and 32 fixtures. Obviously, for me, I'm highly likely running through at least the 2 game weeks. Yes, still highly likely double, but I'm probably not going to have enough doublers to make that sort of move worthwhile, actually. So, yeah, not any real interest in Chelsea at the moment. For Newcastle, yeah, Anthony Gordon's on radar, so particularly if Sunderland ain't got them players back.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And Palace away in 32 is okay as well. I think we'll speak about them in a sec. Their minds might be beginning to be distracted by other things. However, I'm not that surprised that Newcastle put on a decent away showing with Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall both playing fullback.
Mm.
They'd be in a much better league position if those two had been playing all season.
Yep.
Very, very good.
I heard Lewis Hall had a fantastic game.
Yeah, as he did against Barcelona. So said David the week before, and the Newcastle guys were saying that he was outstanding against Lamine Yamal. So yeah, them two definitely get them on the plane for the summer.
I was going to say definitely Hall gets over to
and
America.
Newcastle changed their team as well. Obviously, they've been without Guimaraes. He's hoping to be back for game week 32. By the way, no chance for Sunderland on Sunday. And obviously, they had no Sandro Tonali as well. So Jacob Ramsey basically played the deepest role of Newcastle's midfield. Really good. He did really well, Jacob Ramsey, because then you've got people like Palmer and Enzo Fernandez operating in some really dirty positions either side. He did pretty well, Jacob Ramsey. I've never seen him play there before. He did really well, actually. Supported particularly well by Joe Willock. Voltemade just disappears into forward positions from a kind of a left 8 position at the moment. And Gordon, yeah, he's playing as the 9. And all I would say with Gordon is he'll play that position in the Camp Nou. That's very, very clear. But it's also clear to me that he probably plays that position against Sunderland at the weekend as well. So interested in that. I'd be less interested in Gordon if they win in the Camp Nou, knowing that you've got those Champions League games either side of the Palace game. That would put me off. If they go out, yeah, I don't mind it. He doesn't get many from open play, but he is on the pens. I think under a circumstance where they go out, there's no way they rotate him against Sunderland. The game is too big for the football club. And then if they're out of Europe, he's playing at Palace as well. And there's every chance that'll be as the 9. So he's not a player I don't think I'd particularly want to invest in long term. I don't mind it short term. So I would say if I ended up moving on Semenyo this week, he'd probably be the most likely for me. I think Anthony Gordon. But I'm only doing it if City and one of City or Palace go through in Europe. There's no way I'm doing it otherwise, or unless there's an announcement that says, oh yeah, it's going into 35 or you ain't going to get that sort of announcement before deadline, I don't think. Malik Chow's obviously fine for me this weekend. For those who got Dan Burn, I would expect him to come back into the team for the game against Sunderland, probably in place of Sven Botman. You'd certainly expect Tonali back in the team. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty clear if you're looking at Newcastle for this week that Gordon would be the asset that appeals most. I expect that game to be
do you like him as a punt?
I expect that game to be quite low scoring though.
Oh, okay. So, like, let's say someone in my shoes, I'm looking at Harry Wilson to come in and possibly even captain. Would you go Gordon over a Wilson if you could afford it?
I think it depends on your strategy a little bit. So if I'm
wildcarding straight out. If
you think you're running through 32, whatever you think of Liverpool, it's just a bit uglier looking at Wilson away to Liverpool in 32. So Gordon looks better. If you're looking just for 31 and you don't have Gordon or Wilson, I'd buy Wilson.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think.
agree with you.
That said,
Just looking at the fixture
I
review.
can look at it and think, oh, I think that would be quite low scoring, but there's every chance Newcastle win 1-0 and Gordon is the scorer.
Yeah.
And under that sort of circumstance, you're very capably looking at a 10, 11 pointer or so, right? So yeah, wouldn't discount it from my faults. Really good result for Newcastle. As I said, I would expect them if they go out, tomorrow night to actually qualify for Europe via the league positions. Now they've got a decent run in Newcastle. Bar the fixture at Arsenal, it's pretty good.
Alrighty, let's talk about West Ham 1, Manchester City 1.
Oh, hang
The
on,
draw that.
we can't move on yet.
Why?
Paul Tierney,
Okay.
what are you doing, mate? In the huddle,
Oh,
what are you doing?
well, I only saw photos, James. This huddle thing's been going on for some time now, and I just
So
think it's stupid. I just think it's stupid.
I it's weird. So I think they had a chat about this, the referees, I think, because Chelsea have been doing their huddle on the centre circle, right?
Around the
There's,
ball and
there-
stuff, yeah.
yeah, there's, we want to feel close to the, I mean, it's such wanky stuff, isn't it? All right, fine, that's what they want to do. They're not hurting anyone. Would it be very interesting if the opponent suddenly decide they want to do it? And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in a forthcoming game where Everton get themselves ready. I don't think Everton would do it, 'cause David Moyes would be like, fuck that nonsense. But someone else might do it and go, yeah, we're going to make sure we get there first and like get in Chelsea's minds. I mean, it's not doing anything for Chelsea at the moment. I think the refs have had a chat and gone, we don't like this. Like, stop it from happening. So Paul Tierney stood there and thought they won't do it. So they've still done it. The look Cole Palmer gives him is magnificent. He's like just one step away from saying, can you fuck off, mate? Honestly. And Paul Tierney just stand there in the middle of it. Get out of there, mate. Read the room. It's such an ugly look. So it wouldn't. What I'm saying, if the decision had happened in the game where he'd given Chelsea something that looked quite dodgy, I don't think that would represent very well.
Isn't he just standing his ground?
Yeah, but he looked like a twat, didn't he? Let's just be honest about it.
Yeah, I put more blame at Chelsea's feet for just. I think what Chelsea
There's nothing
doing
in the
is
rules
stupid.
that says they can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's such a weird thing. It's stupid.
Yeah.
All right,
On to your team, boss.
let's move on then. Let's talk about West Ham 1, City 1. We both said that there was a good chance West Ham might get something out of this game, but we're too weak to predict it. And
I felt
in the end, West Ham did.
The Somerville injury was key to me thinking that you wouldn't.
Look, the thing is, the stats don't lie in terms of West Ham 1 shot, 1 goal. Manchester City with 24 shots. However, it was 1 big chance each. And the thing with West Ham, and it's been the case for a while, is we can defend. There's this weird anomaly of the Liverpool game conceding 5 goals. But other than that, we haven't been conceding a lot of goals in games. There's been half a game against Chelsea. But apart from that, it's been really good. And it's the shape. I think West Ham's defensive shape is really good. You can rely on it. And players do their jobs really well. We've got 3 centre-backs that are playing reasonably well now. Mavropanos, Disasi and Tadibo, who's just come back. And as much as City dominated, particularly the first half, I didn't feel like they were creating chances that were carving us open at all. As the game went on, obviously the pressure's going to pile on and the chances got a little bit better and they had opportunities to win it. But heroic defending, take a point all day. It's like your situation at Anfield. Giving me a point before the game, I'll take it all day long. And we've shown now that we can defend really well. So, yeah, I still would never have the confidence to get a West Ham asset defensively. But at 4 million, the likes of Diouf and stuff, you could do worse. We've got one more tough game, which is Villa, we'll talk about them when we get to Manchester United. But after that, there's a run where I can see a few clean sheets coming in for West Ham.
It's interesting. If you're a Goodmanson owner, we spoke about examples where if you don't have money in the bank, but let's say you've got 0.2 or 0.3 and you want to deal with that, Diouf must be a consideration. Now, and again, I think for those who've used the wild card, you'll think about it more because then all Wolves at home, 32.
Straight after.
West Ham's run 32, 34 is quite decent. It's Palace away 33. Even if it's a single, that's a single. There's worse things in the world. Everton at home 34, Brentford away 35. I think Diouf would be a consideration. And obviously under this system of a back three, that's better for him. We obviously never saw the best of him going forward at the weekend. I think you'll probably play a back three again at Villa, but then it might be back four against Wolves. That's probably my take at the moment.
Villa 50-50, but after that, definitely back four. Yeah,
I mean, I say Wolves back onwards, three. It's back five, isn't it? Well, it was on Saturday.
Yeah, it was, but I think we'll have more opportunity to push the wing backs forward against Aston Villa. Attacking wise, there is a small chance Somerville will be back for Villa and we'll really need him back as soon as possible. But I wouldn't force it. We had the run of 4 games, right? It was Liverpool, Fulham, City, Villa as 4 tough games in a row. The objective for me was 4 points. We've got 4 points. Anything we get from Villa is an additional bonus. It's absolutely game on in terms of where we go. And
you can definitely
the run after that. Yeah, and then the run after that, I think you have eyes on, especially if we've got a double. I don't mind a few assets in and around it. City came out full strength. They've got such a strong squad.
It was a stronger team than I thought it would be.
What is full strength is debatable, but yeah. They just struggled to break us down. But I think that's as much because we kept our shape and defensively were as good as anything else.
Okay, let's do West Ham first. So are we saying if we want to invest in new defensively, is Diouf?
Wan-Bissaka's 0.1 more. Isn't a huge amount in it. I'd just get Diouf. I wouldn't.
If you went to a back four, which defender comes out? No, it's not Disasai, is it?
No, because he's played. Mavropanos obviously didn't play the last game, but I think that was as much. That was the Fulham game in between. I couldn't guarantee it, James. Mavropanos played so well, and he's.
Have you seen the Defcons for your lot at the weekend? It's mental. Disasai 2, Tadibo 10, Mavropanos 21. Disasai 2.
Yeah.
Mavropanos obviously got one of these DEFCONs for this amazing block right at the end.
What a photo. The photo
you've seen the photo. Yeah.
Has to be, it doesn't look real, right? It looks like you've coloured in half his face.
It looks like the ball has exploded on his face.
It's difficult to say. I think they'll get a little bit of rotation in and around, but Disasai is a lock. And I think of all of the 3 of them, he's the most natural on the left side anyway.
Yeah, I'd just be a bit concerned about that DEFCON number. He hasn't hit it, since he's been with you. Not in any game. And I think that's surprising.
Isn't he quite expensive? I'm sure. I haven't
He's 4.5.
Okay, I thought he might have a Chelsea tax on him.
But I think the others, Mavropanos and Tadibo, are a little bit more at risk. Disasai is not going to come out the team.
It's not even a debate. Just go Diouf.
So it's Diouf.
Just go Diouf.
What about Hermansen? If people have got a goalkeeper problem.
4.2, definitely first choice. Played well. I think from a confidence point of view, keepers are the kind of position where you do require a little bit of confidence. And he had a good game, and he claimed some stuff, and had a little bit more confidence. I think towards the end of the game, I was like, just hold on to the ball. You don't need to be lobbing it out to launch counterattacks when we're trying to hang on, mate. But he did have that mindset. I thought he had a good game.
The 2 saves, the save from Haaland, might be went through Mavropanos' legs, I can't remember, but that was a brilliant save. And also the save from the Rangers free kick as well, just got a little bit on it. Yeah, I actually thought he looked decent in goal. I thought so I would expect him very much to continue.
What's your alternatives? So if you're really at the bottom of the basement,
Darlow,
Petrovic for Bruggen.
No,
I'm 4.5 and below. You're not going Joseph Sarr. He's flagged.
They ain't playing. Darlow's the other one, really, if you were to invest in.
3.9 Leeds. No, I'd go Hermansen over Darlow. If I'm saying there's a couple I think in the next 5, there's 2 clean sheets for West Ham.
If people are going just for this week, they'll probably go Darlow, don't they? That said, a lot of people will have Thiago. Nah. So there's the confliction of that, in which case, if you haven't got Rodgers, I wouldn't mind going to Hermanton. I would not be surprised if West Ham went to Villa and won 1-0, 2-1 on at the weekend at all.
I'm not good at picking goalkeepers, James. All I can say is he's in a little bit of confidence, and he's definitely playing, and he's cheap, like 4.2. What are you expecting?
Points. That's what everybody expects when they buy players, mate. Points. I don't need to support Manchester City again this season. I can put that in the bin. I'm more supporting the fact that their 115 charges come through now, because that's still probably my best hope of not getting relegated. Sorry, City fans. As someone who wanted them obviously to win for the dual reasons of the title race and the relegation race, I cannot believe that Ray and Cherky did not play. They look miles better with him. I spoke when they won at Leeds about their control of the football match. I know they were winning that second half. Was so much better because he was on the pitch. And actually, as soon as he got on the pitch in this one, their tempo, their creativity, everything went up a notch. Where it was, you must have felt watching the game.
Yeah, the longer one went on.
He might do something here.
He's a good player.
He's a very good player, Ryan Cherky, and I would advise Manchester City to be getting him in the team more often. I don't think this system has particularly been working well for Haaland. This was a little bit of a different setup with Marmoush and Semenyo wider. I think Semenyo, for me, having watched the game in the Bernabeu last week as well, has probably gone past the kind of the initial explosion of joining the club, etc. I'm beginning to look at him already and think I need to see more explosiveness from you in terms of directness of play. I'm not seeing it as I was seeing it in the first few games that he was with them, including when they played my team, a game at 24 or so. Marmoush is capable of the unpredictable. I don't necessarily think either of those two players are running great for Haaland at the moment. The best reason to keep on hold of Erling Haaland at the moment is the European results / I can't bother what I do with the money. But I think for me, yeah, I can see me, if say Palace go through on Thursday night, going for something like Gordon and Bowen for Semenyo and Haaland. I can see me taking the chance on it because I've got 32 as well to think about rather than just 31. I mean, if it's just the 1 week, I don't know if those sort of moves are worth it. Maybe the transfers in hand are worth a little bit more. For me, I might make the move. But yeah, if City and Palace both go out of Europe, I ain't doing anything without some form of announcement, because ultimately, if they've got Palace at home, I'd still want pieces of it. Definitely. Would you consider captain Haaland under that circumstance? Is that one step of mental too far?
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
But
I wouldn't bother.
If you captained him and went Bruno Fernandes vice, you know your vice is playing.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, we're talking about a Bruno Fernandes just racked up a 10-pointer. Why not just go? I'd argue the case, just go Bruno Fernandes anyway.
Haaland at home to Palace is still better than Fernandes away to Bournemouth.
Yeah, maybe. I think United are doing all right.
No, I know they're doing all right. I don't think they were great yesterday, by the way.
What's Haaland's recent form been like? I don't.
Shy, isn't it?
Well, okay. So, but he's still better just because of the potential and explosiveness. This is off the back of they probably will lose to Real Madrid. Like, imagine if they beat Real Madrid and then they play Palace, but then will they give him? They're never going to give him a break. But I don't know.
I hear you, but also Bournemouth's games quite recently have been quite low scoring.
Yeah.
We said a few weeks ago, we're like, they feel like the most likely team in the league to have like a 2-2, for example. They haven't had a game that's had 4 goals in it since they beat Liverpool 3-2. Just counting up 9 goals in Bournemouth's last 6 games, like as in 4 and against. So 1.5 goals per game. I don't hate it. If we had the scenario where we didn't have confirmation, I might do it. But ultimately, I want to captain Harry Wilson this week. But if I put the armband on Haaland, I think I'd probably have to go Fernandes vice. I think.
Why not vice Harry Wilson?
Because I'd be happy to take
doesn't
the
make
chance.
Sense.
I'd be happy to take the chance on Harry Wilson as captain, knowing I've got Bruno Fernandes as vice. I don't know if I want to go
Okay, I
Haaland
see what you
captain and
mean.
Harry Wilson vice, is what I'm saying.
And then not have a vice captain. I see what you're saying. All right,
It's
I
very
understand that.
unlikely that Harry Wilson wouldn't play against Burnley.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. But if your vice captain's more
But
often a much more
ultimately,
safer
I'm
pick.
talking about
Yeah,
an idea of potentially captaining a player that doesn't have a fixture. It's the most bonkers
yeah,
thing you've ever heard,
yeah,
and wouldn't be done on a bench wankery. It would be done on a, is there a chance that this game happens
yeah.
here? Um,
Unlikely.
yeah, very. We'll see. Decide Friday.
Okay.
City, yeah. There's a chance here that their season ends this week. Near enough.
Mm,
I mean, imagine lose to Madrid, lose to Arsenal in the cup final, and then lose to Liverpool. Season's over. Then
yeah,
they're more likely, in my opinion, to drop to third than catch Arsenal.
yeah. I think I agree with you. I think I
Good,
agree with you.
good, damn it.
All right, look, let's talk about Crystal Palace nil, Leeds nil. At least Leeds didn't pick up a win, which means they're in and around it. We all got our 1 point, but at least you and I had fixtures against more difficult sides at the bottom of the table. Red card for Leeds as well. Missed penalty for Leeds as well.
Well, yeah, this mad minute or so. Before I forget, I'll tell you what, though, give Leeds some massive credit. I think it's the first time in quite some time, might even be since Opta have started records, that a team away from home down to 10 men hasn't conceded a shot on target in the second half.
Yeah,
That's really good. That's also obviously really poor from Palace. Really poor that they've not had a shot on target in the 45 odd minutes against them. And obviously Palace have had their last three games all against, have ended up against 10 men, the Tottenham game and the Wolves game. Now, I know obviously they did brilliant in the end of the first half against us, but didn't put their foot down to try and take the game away from us in the second at our place. I realised game state, they were quite comfy. They struggled to get a goal against Wolves, struggled to get a goal in this one as well. Yeah, mad minute in the game with the handball by Will Hughes, and on what he's thinking. Calvert-Lewin misses the penalty, and then straight after this weird second yellow card for Goodmanson, which I don't even really think is a booking. But I don't know if the referee, I've not watched the game, I don't know if the referee got it in his mind. He was like, okay, there's been a lot too many fouls recently or something. I need to book someone. And blatantly, there is no way in the world he would have booked him if he'd realised he was already on a yellow card. He'd completely forgotten. The first yellow is 100%. The foul on Brennan
yeah.
Johnson, no qualms about that. But yeah, clearly he's needing to be told by people, this fella's already been booked. And you can see him hesitate. I think in that moment, he's going to want to go, I want to take this booking back. I wish I hadn't done that.
Can't do
Rules,
it.
rules. What's then bizarre is
Um,
Brendan Johnson probably should have been sent off in the second half for a second yellow challenge. And you would think that's every opportunity to almost remedy the mistake that you'd made earlier. And he didn't book Brendan Johnson. So, bit of a harsh one on Leeds, but really good result for them. And the likes of Rodon, Bijol, maybe Darlow, will be potential interesting ones for those for 31.
with
Goodmanson
the
injury
with
means,
the with the VAR change, that would have been looked at, right?
but what's to say that they wouldn't just still go, yes, it's a yellow
Yeah,
card.
I don't know,
Like
but they
if
would
it's a
look at it.
foul, would they go, that's a serious error? I don't know.
But when they relook at second yellows, are they looking at foul or not, or are they looking at yellow card or not?
I don't know how they're going to do it, but I presume it
So,
should
because if
be.
it's yellow card or not, then they will.
They referenced this one with, there was a game in Serie A, I think it was Pierre Kalulu was sent off for Juventus. They referenced it because he was adjudged to have pulled someone back and he didn't. So it was clear, it was like the Inter player, I think, like simulated. It was like that's a clear error because he's been sent off for a pull and he actually has not pulled him.
Yeah.
So under this circumstance where Goodmanson has fouled, so I think we can say that's okay. Do they then reverse that? So it's not enough for a yellow. That's subjective, isn't it? I don't think you do. I think like he would still get sent off. But the referee could probably also, he could go in his ear and he could block his mouth and go, yeah, I didn't realise it was on a yellow. Can I have a bit of help here? Or maybe. I don't know. He'll be suspended, obviously, for the game against Brentford at the weekend, which is a blow for those who owned him because there's not that many places to go. I would imagine Jaden Bogle will come back in the team and James Justin will play at left back, but there is a small chance that they change it up and go with a back four, maybe against Brentford instead. I would say Rodon is the safest one to pick defensively if people want to go there. Anton Stack's still absolutely fine if people want an enabling midfielder. And if people want to go Dominic Calvert-Lewin for the 1 week, I don't mind. I would imagine he'll stay on the penalties. Probably wouldn't punt Brendan Aronson at this stage. Palace, obviously, no game, we think. Probably headlines from the weekend on them was a little bit of a surprise at the team news. So Dean Henderson missed out, we think, with an illness. Daniel Munoz, the word from Oliver Glasner on Friday was that if he trained okay Saturday, he'd be in the squad. He wasn't. The Adam Wharton benching was the one that made me think you've got eyes for Thursday. And you don't blame them.
Yeah.
To want to play their strongest team in Cyprus for the second leg against Larnaca. And truthfully, they're on enough points that they shouldn't be looking over their shoulder. We might be hitting the stage here where if they go through, that we're looking at Palace very much treating their Thursday night games as far more important than the league games. If that's the case, that makes their assets pretty much a no-go for the running. Just completely ignore them if that's the circumstance. We'll see at the end of the week.
Agreed. Alrighty. Let's talk about Manchester United 3, Aston Villa 1. You said you weren't that impressed. I'm not that impressed with Bruno Fernandes, Brian and Boomer. I'm definitely impressed with Bruno Fernandes. But overall, if you look at, I mean, they've lost like 3 games in 20 or something in the league. I know it's not enough wins to get your man a haircut, but it's still very consistent over a long period of time to get themselves up to 3rd. And I can't
one win and you've mentioned the guy who needs a haircut already.
No. I'm saying they haven't won enough in a row, but there's quite a lot of draws in there. But they haven't been losing a lot of games, which is a consistency of getting themselves up there. When you make that comment, City are as likely to drop to 3rd as catch Arsenal. I can't disagree because United are going to keep chipping away. I like Sesko as a potential alternative
it's the minutes, isn't it? But he obviously keeps coming off the bench and scoring.
Scoring, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals in the last 7. At some point, he's going to get a start if Bumo doesn't return or Bumo gets pushed out to the left.
He's now come back out. I think that's a no-buy, personally.
Sesko?
Yeah.
Don't know. It's definitely better option than Ollie Watkins.
Not that.
Give me confidence that West Ham can beat Aston Villa.
Yeah, loads. Loads. They've lost 3 in a row, haven't they, Villa?
Yeah.
And you can probably stretch that back worse as well. I mean, how many games have Villa actually won this year in the league? I'll tell you, it's 2. I think.
Newcastle and Brighton lost to Everton, lost to Brentford.
Was Forest this year or last year? I can't remember.
Gameweek 20.
Who did we play that week? Then I can tell you.
I don't know. Don't know.
In any case, so it's 2 wins.
It's
in
not
9.
great. Yeah, and that includes United, Chelsea, but they lost to Wolves, drew with Leeds, drew with Bournemouth.
Sorry, I'm lying. 2 wins in 10, isn't it?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And
1,
they're
2,
still
3,
fourth.
4, 5. Yeah.
And they've got great fixtures. Their fixture run over the next 6 is brilliant, right?
Yeah, I mean, West Ham, Forest, Sunderland, Fulham, Tottenham. 3 of them at Villa Park as well.
Yeah, West Ham, Sunderland, Tottenham all at home, Forest, Fulham, Burnley away, Liverpool at home. Don't even know. Might be kind of focused on an FA Cup final around about that point. And they go to City. You might have even that. It looks rough last day. Might be City have nothing to play for. So yeah, really good fixtures left for Villa. Would I go and buy any of them? God, no. No, I mean, defensively, none of them ever get DEFCON. I know Mings has here, but it's very random, and it could be him or Pau Torres anyway. Could be Dean or Maatsen any game. Concer's the only one that's reliable. Matty Cash comes back to be helpful, and there'll be a few people waiting on him for the weekend. Probably a more interesting question. We haven't mentioned it, but I'm sure some people will free hit this week. Would you go any Villa?
Uh,
I'm not sure I would.
Rogers, maybe. Rogers.
Why?
Yeah, yeah. But the problem, this is, you can't ask me this question, James, because then you're asking me to be confident in West Ham. And
Okay, I
in
hear
my
you.
heart, honestly, in my heart, I am confident. In my heart, I feel like we're going to go there and do well and put in a good performance. But logic doesn't allow me to. My head, what's in my subconscious doesn't allow me to. But you're right. I don't know if I would. I wouldn't be steaming in like I would have maybe a few weeks ago, thinking, yeah, you want two or three of them.
When many of us went and got hold of Morgan Rogers, sort of like around about the Christmas period, obviously he was scoring some outrageous goals. It was a goal against yourself at the London Stadium. The goal was against Manchester United, but his underlying data was beginning to look very, very strong as well. Like that's beginning to very much ease off now. Certainly, as someone who owns him, I ain't selling him this week. Going to start. He's going to play. He might get me something. I don't think I'd go and buy him this week. I'd buy Anthony Gordon over Morgan Rogers this week.
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins would be of no interest.
Nope.
I would imagine the small bad news for you might be they might rotate a little bit for the Lille second leg. But as I'd said to David on Friday, it would have been really handy if they'd got that second goal because 1-0 is not job done. Confidence is a little low at the moment. I mean, with the fixtures they've got left, the fact that they're still fourth, truthfully, they should still finish top five from here. Their fixtures are much better than Chelsea's.
Yeah. The gap to Chelsea's only 3 points, though.
But I wouldn't trust them to do it at all. What they need is players back fit. So John McGinn being back is helpful. Yuri Tielemans, we think game week 32, not for this week. Kamara is still the really big miss for me. So again, another side who may well get distracted by the European involvement. But actually, ironically, Rodgers, will do the Thursday Sunday gig. He'll keep playing. You have to give him credit for that. But I also wonder if that's a little bit of fatigue hitting him for him now. Because he has pretty much done this for 18 months now, hasn't he? Played like nearly every game. Doesn't really get injured, does he?
No.
So
tough game coming up,
It might be he's fatiguing a little bit. And I'd be a little bit concerned about that from an England perspective for the summer. So, do you know what? Truthfully, I could look over the next 2 weeks and think West Ham at home, Forest away, playing the teams 18th and 17th. And yet I possibly don't want to add anything from the team that's fourth. That's mental, actually. Because actually, if you are looking for just the 2 weeks, you'd make a case that it's best for Villa. Villa or Newcastle, probably, I'd say. Over both 31 and 32 as it stands.
Start looking at what you're seeing on the pitch though, because I think Forest have been decent as well. Before we move on to Forest, Fulham, anything you want to add on Manchester United? Casemiro, another goal. He's the sixth highest scoring midfielder in the game now.
Yeah, we've spoken about him a lot, and if people want to go and add him, it's fine. And we've been saying a few times recently, look, with no other cup commitments. It's 1 game a week. You're going to get expected minutes better out of him. He pick up DEFCON now and again. But obviously, in terms of his attacking the set plays, we said this after his goal at Newcastle. I mean, this is from a corner. But I actually think he's attacking from wide set pieces. I think he's the best in the league. And that's a brilliant headed goal on the first, which was assisted by Bruno. The assist from Bruno for Cunha's goal is brilliant, man.
Nice pass.
Cunha knows that Bruno can play that pass. He doesn't think twice about making the run. He's such a good player. 16 assists now, is it, for Fernandes?
Yeah, I think 5 more to break the record for the league.
Captain this week for you, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about him as a home fixture, flat track bully, but he's just consistent as hell. My 8-year-old nephew, James, the one that gets a mention, bloody captained him this game week and is now 20 points clear of me in FPL. It's actually a very real concern that he's going to beat me. But I don't blame him because captaining Bruno in any week, you never fear it. You never fear it. Even just the cheeky little DEFCON and a couple of bonuses, he's getting you 7-8 points. It's fine. So, yeah, captain a ball. Whether or not I will captain him, I'm unsure. But he's captain a ball, for sure.
Oh yeah, of course he is, and he'll be the most popular. So from an EO perspective, it's going to be very high. So if anyone's really concerned about that, then you'll want to go there. How many goals he scored away from home this season?
2.
I think you're correct.
Okay, good guess.
Same game at
Oh,
Wolves. I
okay.
just scanning his returns here. I think that's it. I think there's only one game away from home that he scored in this season.
So he's due. That's what we're saying. For,
It'll be the safe play. I would like to captain Harry Wilson. I would like to, despite getting burnt this week with Ekitike, I'd probably like to try and take on again this week if I can. But yeah, Fernandes is great. You certainly won't want to be without him completely this week. And truthfully, if you're not captaining him, you're going to be going against a massive EO. And I'm sure the analytic representatives will have him as like the top for expected points and stuff. Not sure I'd want to add anything else.
Yep.
I think Cunha over Bumo arguably at this moment, but don't love it.
Yeah.
Sesko, I think, avoid. I don't mind Maguire if people need for 32 as well. But truthfully, he ain't going to do much for DEFCONs. And they do tend to concede the odd goal.
Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 0. They didn't do us a favour, Fulham, James. They could have done.
Well,
done
they
with doing us a
did.
favour.
I'd have taken this before kickoff. And I'd have definitely
Yeah, I mean,
taken
you
this.
suspected Forest to win. Did you see
Yeah,
it?
I
Did you watch
I
this in the
think they'd win.
pub pre-game?
No, I mean, I was half watching United against Villa.
Okay.
Was on against, but I wouldn't have wanted to watch this anyway. I'm better off not watching the other teams towards the bottom of the table at the moment. I'd rather watch other games.
Yeah, honestly, up until yesterday though, I've quite enjoyed watching you guys because I've been reliably getting a bad performance, but I can see the reverse. If you started playing well, no, I'm not trying
I'm
to.
telling the
If you
truth.
started
I
playing
know.
well, if you started playing well, it'd be more difficult for me to watch. And I was concerned about this game and Forest doing well. But more interestingly from this game, I wanted to see something from Forest that gave me confidence that they have the ability to get a result against you next week. Just to figure out whether we'll get back out the relegation zone against Villa. That 2:15, those games is going to be amazing.
Tell everyone, what result do you want at White Lane on Sunday?
0-0.
That's right. Answer.
0-0.
Yeah, the draw is the result you want, isn't it?
Yeah, I get it. But if there's gonna be a winner, I want it to be Forest. If I can't have a draw, but again, they're doing all right under Pereira. I didn't realize he hadn't had a win in the league yet, but they're a little bit more solid, aren't they now?
Yes, but I don't think they were particularly unsolid anyway. The beauty of me not watching that game yesterday, I didn't know till very late last night that Dan and Doyle had like half a hill offside and had a goal disallowed.
Yeah.
More VAR nonsense. Yes, it even went in my favour. It's bollocks that. It's fucking horrible. So the problem for Forest, we mentioned it a few times, if they go down, it will be the inability to score goals. Brilliant stat I heard last night. No number 9 has scored for Nottingham Forest in a home game since Gameweek 1.
Was that Chris Wood?
Chris Wood. That's not good, that is it?
No. Now
they're away this week, so Igor Jesus probably get a hat trick, right? But that you're relying on other people who don't have consistency of output. So like Anderson is playing further forward, and I think we'll get in and around some more returns. But the consequence is no DEFCON here, right? Lower, only 8. But he's getting in more advanced positions. So you're kind of winning and losing. A little bit like with Fernandes at the moment. You're winning and losing a bit. But you're probably looking at Anderson more like an offensive midfielder, maybe going to get me attacking returns. And of course, he will still get some DEFCONs. But maybe not in games like this where they're trying to show initiative to win a game. Maybe more like Man City away, where they're obviously going to spend a lot more time without the ball. But he's not going to go and get 6 goals between now and the end of the season. You're hoping Morgan Gibbs-White is going to seriously contribute because those wide players are not going to contribute a lot. So you're also relying on more stuff from set pieces. When was the last time it felt like Milenkovic or Murillo scored to you? I know I've just put the mockers on it. It'll probably be Sunday. But truthfully, as a team, not just the 9s, they're not contributing enough at the top end. Now, defensively, sound as. Strong. Be very difficult to break down for many teams. And that'll obviously give them a chance. And listen, bar, I don't know, millimetres. Dan and Doy scores yesterday and they win 1-0. or Ola Aina's shot that crashes off the bar is half a yard lower and flies in the top corner, right? And they win the game. That said, could have gone the other way. Sasa Lukic effort. Matt Sells can't even see it. Goes not too far wide. I thought Forest would win yesterday. So truthfully, it's a missed opportunity for them not to go to White Hart Lane with the advantage of being in front, because actually now they really can't afford to lose the game, because there's a scenario here.
4 point gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you need to raise your level of performance to be able to execute that, but it can happen. So anything else to add for Fulham? I mean, they've got the home fixture against Burnley. If you're free hitting 3 of them in. Joachim Anderson, Harry Wilson, and AN other. Who else would you go with?
Joachim Anderson will be popular and is the defender to consider. So it was a little bit of concern. Is he definitely coming back in the team? Right, he's in, and that will stick now. And as per several times for this season, it's not worth considering anything else. He's the most consistent for DEFCON. So it's definitely him defensively. Don't mind Leno if people want a goalkeeper, but if you're just doing it for 1 week, I'd rather people focus their transfers elsewhere. Attacking wise, it is Wilson. I don't think it would be a huge shock if Rodrigo Muniz started against Burnley. So I wouldn't go down the Raul Jimenez route. That might tempt. If you're moving to Haaland for 1 week, you are tempted to look at Raul Jimenez, I think. Yeah. I probably wouldn't be doing that personally. Poor fella lost his father last week and has obviously done really well. So he wanted to continue. He wanted to play. By all accounts, he's done absolutely fine yesterday. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Fulham take him out the firing line. We don't know. We don't know what the circumstance will be there, how he's coping or isn't. So I wouldn't be too shocked if Muniz ended up starting at the weekend. That would just be enough to make me think I'm not going to go into Jimenez. Wilson, the clear obvious one in terms of midfielders. We should notice Josh King has started the last couple of games again. If people, for whatever reason, suddenly need a midfield enabler, there's every chance he'll start again against Burnley. I don't mind Iwobi if people want to go there. I would not chase Anthony Robinson based on the fact that he started again, because I just think that could easily be session on again for the Burnley game. So Anderson, Wilson, anything else is a little bit punty. Forest, Tottenham away, Villa at home. Anything you like?
Elliot Anderson's consistent. I don't like the strikers. I wouldn't go Jesus.
I think Gibbs White is the one a few people are flirting with.
He could be. But
there's a story there, isn't there?
Yeah. I don't mind it. Yeah, I think Gibbs White's all right. I don't know. I'd rather just go Harry Wilson, to be honest with you, if I'm going in that. Yeah, no, not really.
He's not. I don't want to gamble on him. He's not worth the money at 7.4, Morgan Gibbs White. But I also totally accept that for many people, the money is irrelevant. Either you can afford the player or you can't at this moment.
Yep,
it's punty. I think anything Forest would still, despite the fact they're playing my team, would still be quite punty. So it's an avoid for me.
Okay. Let's talk about your team. Liverpool 1, Tottenham 1. I watched the first half of this, James. And then, would you believe I had to go to the dentist yesterday? I didn't understand in Portugal, dentists are open on Sundays, James. So I was like, all right, if you're going to give me an appointment at 5:45 on a Sunday, I'm going to do it. Went into the dentist at half time. I came out, it was 83 minutes. And it was 1-0 still. I thought, okay, that was my worst nightmare. Be in the dentist chair and Tottenham equalise or get a victory. What a painful afternoon that would have been. Driving home, you bloody equalised, didn't you? So I'll tell you what, right? As dominant as Liverpool were, that wasn't the worst Tottenham performance I've seen in recent times. I thought you were all right. There was the odd flirting of trying to create some chances, had a few opportunities here and there. And at least put a little bit of a shift in. I've seen much worse from your team in recent times, and Liverpool, they don't have the luxury of being taking it easy against, like, resting some big names and stuff. They're not that good that they can say, "Oh, it's only Tottenham. We'll rotate our team." I don't think they're good enough to be able to justify doing that.
I think it's very hindsighty because I think as I said to you, when we saw the Liverpool team come in, or what was been speculated on, sort of like in the hour before the official announcement, there wasn't any, well, he's taking a chance here. Just well, might be 3-0 rather than 4-0. It was like that kind of vibe, right? It was like, kind of
I don't
makes
know.
sense
There
a
was a
little
little
bit.
bit of
My
they got to win. If they're going to
but
do that, they had to win.
my personal view was it had been a 5-day turnaround from Galatasaray, so I just didn't feel like it was necessary. And it felt more like, under that circumstance, it felt more like, well, if you get yourself into a good position, take the
Take
big
them
boys
off.
off. That
Yeah,
said,
though I don't know. Is it? Do you think it's that, or is it a case of I need these guys against Galatasaray? So rather than resting them because they've played, it's resting them because they need to play.
Arne Slot, I don't think will be Liverpool manager next season. Therefore, for him personally, his priority will be the Champions League or the FA Cup. It could well be
Yeah.
that he, go out of another trophy. Because I would suggest that from them boos at full time yesterday, yeah, that was a turning point for a lot of Liverpool fans. I know a number have already turned, but I think there was a few more. Liverpool's performance, truthfully, yes, it was unacceptable. We'll come on to some positives for Tottenham, but Liverpool's performance yesterday was unacceptable. And despite the changes, by the way, the biggest sigh of relief for me during the whole game was when Rio and Gamoa went off.
He was really good.
Get him on that plane. Honestly, I would take him. I said this to you on a Patreon Q&A a couple of weeks ago. His ability in 1v1 dribbling in the final 15 minutes of a game, I'm not talking about all take him for England and he starts, but to bring him on with 15 minutes to go or to use him in extra time would be such a weapon. I would take him. He has got the potential to be an absolute superstar. I promise you, he is a very, very good young talent. I was so relieved when he went off.
Yeah.
I just thought it was tearing us a new one. Florian Wirtz, quiet. I expressed concerns on, I think, my deadline stream on Saturday about the kind of the output for him in terms of his shooting at the end. It was noticeable to me, actually, as someone who was on the Anfield Road behind the goal, particularly in the first half, how much he was desperate to give Ngamoa the ball. You take responsibility, mate. Sorry,
Yeah,
not
I
in the
don't know if
first
it's
half. Second half, sorry, towards the opening 20 minutes of the second half.
if
Just wanted
he's
to kick him in the
shirking
ball.
responsibility or just
No, I
trust
wouldn't.
him.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, it's that. It's trust and Gamoa. And I know there's as a few people have fed back and said probably Gamoa's not ready to play 90 minutes yet and stuff like that. And I'm not advocating people go and buy Gamoa for fantasy. That's not what I'm saying here at all. But I don't think the reports I had was he wasn't great in Turkey. Truthfully, I didn't fear him.
Yeah.
I think that says something with play. I'm watching. Ngomo is making me shit myself. Florian Wirtz, I'm not remotely bothered about when he's on it. So he's got to go up a level next season, and he may well do. Xabi Alonso had him at Leverkusen. I'm pretty sure he's going to take the Liverpool job. There's every chance we get a very good Florian Wirtz next season. And again, if you've invested in him, and a few will have, you're not going to deal with it now. It is what it is. But truthfully, yeah, at this point now, I would rather take a chance on Gordon than Wirtz for the next couple of games, personally. And I don't see me adding any Liverpool. Szoboszlai has been Liverpool's outstanding performer this season. Very good. Obviously played the right back position with Frimpong in front of him. Goal, DEFCON. It's full free kick of the season, I think. Vic should have saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was savable.
But
Savable.
no one wants to talk about Vic's save from Gakpo a few minutes later. Brilliant save.
It was, but
Or
you
the save
don't
from
need
Salah in the second half when the ref didn't give a corner.
you don't need a highlight real goalkeeper right now. You need to do the basics goalkeeper.
I'm not arguing. But he got that basic wrong. There was two other moments. People only want to focus on the negatives at the moment. I'm well aware he should have saved it. Very clear.
Yeah.
I have no regrets on the Ekitike decision at all.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. When I saw it, I was like, okay, it is what it is.
I wasn't concerned that he wouldn't start. Was happy to take that gamble. It's not worked. When I saw he wasn't in the team, truthfully, the first thing I thought is he may still outscore Fernandes in half hour because of how the game might look at that stage. The only thing that was nagging in my mind before the game was obviously if Tottenham, because of Tottenham's availability of players, there was a chance that Tottenham would play the game differently to how they played the previous games under Igor Tudor. What was clear to me was if they played it in the same way, we would get annihilated. And had Tottenham played in the same way that they played the previous games, we would have still got annihilated yesterday, even with Liverpool making all the changes. So I do think it's hindsighty in terms of the changes from a Liverpool perspective, but they weren't good. I'm going to do a piece on talking tactics this week, looking at the goals that Liverpool have conceded in the Premier League late this season. They've got major problems. I saw a stat last night that they've been outrun in all but 4 games this season.
Oh, wow.
And what do you think of Liverpool 2 years ago?
Intensity. Yeah. You're not going to get anywhere near them. Intensity.
Just not there. It needs freshening up. Look, for me, obviously delighted with the point. I actually felt it was deserved. I've not had many people actually say differently to that. I didn't quite feel, watching back through the Matchday Live chat on Slack from our patrons last night, most of them seemed to think that Tottenham were going to equalise during the game. I promise you it didn't feel like that to me in the away end. It was still a bit of shock when Richarlison scored. But yeah, it did feel like we deserved it. And again, it's so weird. Again, we spoke about this after Liverpool lost at Wolves. It's like, when a game becomes kind of end to end, the quality level should tell.
Yeah.
And yet again, like the Wolves game, a very different goal than obviously Tottenham score. But again, a game has ended up becoming quite end to end, and Liverpool have come out of it on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So from a Tottenham perspective, really pleased with the effort. I think a lot of the chat traveling up yesterday morning was obviously watching your team Saturday night was like, it was heroic stuff. And you're like, I just wish we could show that fight that West Ham had shown. And looking at us going, can't do it. Don't think they can do it. But yeah, the game got simplified in terms of tactics. They tried to go out short quite a lot earlier in the game and then did that far less the longer the game went on. I said to you, Tottenham last week, don't even pass the ball to each other at the back. Just make the game horrible, ugly, go direct. It's not how I want my team to play, but I know it's the most effective way at this moment in time. And Tottenham fought hard with an extremely patched up football team with a young Brazilian boy, Sousa, playing right wing. I don't know if he's ever played there in his life. He did okay. He had a really good effort really early on and had made a really good run into the box just before that as well. Matisse Tell carried a direct threat. Nothing much in terms of output, but carried a real direct threat. Fullbacks did okay. Porro had a real tough time with Ungamoa, but did okay. The centre-backs did really well. Dragishin is awful. He's so bad. But even right at the end, when they had that breakaway with Ekitike, it's him blocking it right in front of Vicario. He did have 1 or 2 big moments. Kevin Danso, heroic. I don't know if this was picked up on the TV, but he was heavily stretching out his hamstring in the 55th minute. I thought he was going to have to go off. He was struggling. So for him to move through that, and he just seems composed and the type of defender that we need in this moment. The danger for Tottenham will be that they think, oh, it's okay, Van der Ven and Romero are back next week and we go and play wide open. There is a strong consideration to say that Danso should maybe stay in this team over either of those other two. That will sound ridiculous.
But we might play a 3 with him in the middle of the two of them.
I don't want to play a back 3. You've seen the benefits of that system yesterday. It's just simplifying the whole game for a bunch of players that aren't particularly good at the moment. Archie Gray did fine. I thought Papsal got better and better the longer the game went on. Debut for Callum Olasese in the Premier League. Was nice and composed when he came on, did fine. And the 2 up front were a handful. Dom did really well, kind of pinning against Joe Gomez. And Richarlison, many of you will know he's not my favourite player, but he is at this moment because he's exactly the sort of player that I need at this moment in time. And he was really good, Richie. I've told you before, it's like the more difficult the opponent or the higher the profile and the uglier the game, the better he is for you. As a link number 9 in a team that will dominate the ball, not good enough. In this shit that we're in right now, he's perfect for us.
Do you think the system or like the defensive setup was designed for Liverpool, the changing system, and you'll go back to what his preference is? Because we do know that Tudor's preference is a back 3.
Look, next week against Forest, we might have Romero, Van der Ven, Udogi, Paulinia, Gallagher. They might all be back. There's not many of them I'd pick to play, by the way.
Yeah.
Certainly, look, it would be a big call not to play Romero or Van der Ven. It might actually do more damage than Joe. Oh my God, he's left one of the match. You know what I mean? It might create headlines that are a little bit unnecessary. It's just I know our Kev will defend the penalty box, and Igor Jesus give Romero an absolute nightmare in game week 16. I spoke about that at the time. Whereas Danso, actually, that physical nature of it, he probably deals with that a little bit better. Maybe he gets a bit tighter and stuff, and also just isn't as rash. He'll stay in position. He's not great on the ball, Kev, but defending the penalty area, yeah, pretty decent. So I think, look, this is the way. Simplify the game. I spoke about playing 2 6s who sit and protect in front, so you're not getting done over terribly on transition. To be honest, that counter right at the end was one of the few occasions in the game where it looked really bad for us. It was like, oh my God, it's like a wave is coming at us. Positionally, was quite sound. And at the top end, if you stay in it, those guys, as I discussed with you on Patreon midweek, they're going to score goals. Richie and Dom will score goals. And Mawani, to be fair to him, takes several cute little good touches to put it on a plate for Richarlison. He does well. He could lash at it. So many things he could do. He gets it absolutely spot on in a big moment. It's terrible from Robertson, by the way, in terms of the defensive stuff. So, and that's one thing. I don't look at my team and think it's better than Forest, but I definitely look at them guys up front and think they're more likely to score goals.
There's more guys to score goals. Yeah,
it's there.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, truthfully, I'd rather buy Richarlison than Watkins this week. There you go, I said it.
Yep. James, before we get into a couple of questions that we had on X, do you want to just let everybody know what they got to look forward to for the rest of the week in terms of content? What is the schedule looking like? There's 2 COTCs this week, isn't there?
There are, featuring, Tottenham v Forest Wednesday with Ricky and Mark. As I said, Everton Chelsea tomorrow with Sean and Gary. I'll be asking them if they'd rather have some home results than away results, because they're both outstanding on the road but not so great at home. Might even play into Chelsea at the weekend. Ask James Thursday, scheduled for 12 p.m. UK time. Weekender with myself and David on Friday. We'll wrap up all the European stuff and see what this City Palace fallout is, etc. Obviously, deadline is Friday, so on YouTube be a deadline stream 5:30 p.m. UK time on Friday. Plenty more on Patreon if you want to support the show. www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Q&A today, UCL Fantasy tomorrow, quiz that Ricky's hosting for me on foreign players in the Premier League on Wednesday, Tottenham on Thursday following Tottenham's second leg against Atletico, and game week 31 preview the differential show on Patreon. Plenty more at advanced tier as well. Got away days from Liverpool. Nico's Corner said I'm going to do a talking tactics on Liverpool's problems late in games, midweek FPL Dilemma, and there'll be a team news stream on Friday as well.
Well, with Patreon, you also get access to our Slack community, hundreds of engaged managers in there, quite lively in the old Matchday Live Slack channel during games and what have you. We've got channels for all the teams and all the other fantasy games that go on as well. Prize leagues. We've got prize leagues. It's late for the whole season, but you can still win Manager of the Month stuff for April and May if you get in now. And a whole bunch of other stuff, including James's fixture planning spreadsheet as well, and the odd social event that we are planning or may plan and may exist as well. So if you want to know more about that, head over to patreon.com/planetfpl. We'd love to have you over there.
I have to say, it's right difficult finding a pub around by Black Horse Road, just so you know. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying.
if you don't want to join us on Patreon, that's all good. Why not just give us a thumbs up wherever you're listening to podcast, or a 5-star review goes a long way. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All that additional content that James has talked about, you'll get told as soon as it all goes live. Good stuff to listen to. Right, James, a few questions we'll rattle off and then we'll call it a day, and you can get yourself a cup of lemsip or something. You've sounded all right, to be honest, mate. I don't think you've no more than usual. Well done. Okay. The drugs don't work. Yeah, they do sometimes.
I've got a voice for love, just not a face for it. Let's say.
Well, you talked about doing a talking tactics on Liverpool this week. You talked about an away days, which was at Liverpool this week. You previewed the game with David Hunter, who's a Liverpool fan. So let's go there first with the questions. Nikolai wants to know, on this week's Weekender, James, who is going to be the therapist slash counselor? Is it you or is it David?
It
Who's
totally
going to need
depends.
it more?
Totally. If Liverpool
Who's going
don't
to
beat
need it more?
Galatasaray, he's going to need it more, I think.
Yeah, so it might be roles reversed this week. Jack, with every club in the league seemingly preferring to play on transition, how have possession-based sides forgotten how to inject speed and tempo into games to hurt the opposition? It feels like there's barely any creativity versus low blocks across the league. I mean, we saw that with my team had to put up a low block. It is some of these better teams with better players though really do struggle against low blocks because they're so organised.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the way Cherky changed the tempo for City when he came on, and I think that makes a big difference. Generally speaking, as well, I mean, low blocks is one thing, but as I've said so many times over, so much of the game is man to man. So in the case of like Verts, you got people following around the pitch. A great example of the man to man at the moment as well is Newcastle's goal at the weekend against Chelsea, which Joe Hart highlighted really well on Match of the Day, actually, about them being a crossover where Reece James was following, I think I want to say Voltemade. Then Garnacho doesn't get to Tino Livramento tight enough, so he's allowed to carry forward. Joe Willett runs into space and he's ended up in a position where Voltemade has drifted into Chalobah's space, but Reece James under instruction has to completely follow him. So now you've got two Chelsea players picking up one Newcastle, and you've got a midfield runner in Joe Willock who's away. And then Fofana decides not to track Gordon as well, just kind of seems to give up on it. It's a messy goal, but it's actually players carrying out instruction that doesn't work. So you need to manipulate 1v1 situations. That's why if you've got like a carrier like Ngamoa, in a weird way, someone like him might have found it more difficult historically to have, let's say, Porro and Sousa just sitting there and say, right, we're going to just force you to go backwards or you're going to have to beat both of us. But even in the game yesterday, so many times he's ended up 1v1 because there's so much man-to-man stuff going on in the league at the moment. I think as well in terms of creativity level, like someone like Verts works hard. I think Cherky does as well. But there aren't as many free spirit players anymore.
Yeah.
Because essentially, to be a number 10, you've got to be a good presser. Pep actually referenced this after the game again against West Ham at the weekend. And it goes back to something I spoke to you about after Tottenham won at Manchester City in Gameweek 2. And explains the way why Cherky didn't start. Is that Cherky and Haaland together in the press at the top line isn't great.
And Marmoush better than that?
Go and listen back to what I said about Tottenham at Man City in Game Week 2. And I said it was a dream for us to be able to have Cherky and Haaland and how easy it was for us to play out. Pep's still concerned about that. So you go, Cherky feeding Haaland. Yeah, but then you need to put Cherky into a deeper role to have someone else go and do the press. City's best of this system they've been playing recently is allowing Bernardo Silva at a tip of a diamond to go and press. But Cherky's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say free spirit because he does work hard. But if you're a 10 and you don't press well, you don't exist anymore. So you're sacrificing some of the creativity elements, basically, for all-round players. How long did Eze kind of, I don't want to say jettisoned out the Arsenal team, but we'd said it a few times, like, I'm not sure Arteta trusts him. He's getting that work out of him now, slowly but surely, where the trust element is coming more and more, and Eze's understanding what his role and duty is, not just with the ball, but without the ball as well. And he's someone can obviously be extremely creative and stuff. But Arsenal went through a long period where like, I'm not comfortable playing him. Whereas Arteta could pick someone like Kai Havertz. Maybe it's not as nice on the eye, but he knows in terms of efficiency exactly what he gets.
Yep. Alrighty. James, one more question coming in from FPL Crusader Luke. He needs a defender from now till game week 38. No wild card. He's got Gahey, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Hill, and an injured Matty Cash. The defender is replacing Cash, unlimited budget.
So the whole way through.
Yeah.
But what I don't know about that is, and the question I might not know yet, when's the free hit? Because that's pretty relevant. Or is that used?
He doesn't say.
For example, I could say to you, looking at my ticker, I mean, top of my ticker now to the end of the season is Leeds.
Yeah.
So something like Rodon. And the beauty with Leeds is obviously, okay, they may only single in 33, but it's still Wolves at home. So then you're covered every week. So actually, the most obvious answer to give you right now is Leeds. Next on my ticker is Brighton.
Yeah.
But that only really works if you're free hitting 34. If you're free hitting 34, I think Brighton, Van Heck, they will frustrate you, by the way. But he'll pick up the odd def cons. He'll be close to bonus if they do keep a clean sheet and that. Then it's Villa. Meh. Wolves. Meh. Sunderland's beginning to feel a bit meh. Then it's Tottenham.
Yeah.
Jeez. So answer, truthfully, is Leeds player.
Alrighty. Last but not least, James, Paul McNulty. And heard from
Hello,
him a
Paul.
while. And he says, long time no speak, gents, Mr. Sky Fantasy Football champ. He wants a player in each position that no one is talking about, but could be a dark horse for top 5 point scorer in that position from now until the end of the season. A defender that's going to go off. Any thoughts?
I'll give you one that no one will get tempted to buy because he's not playing this week. Rodrigo Gomez at Wolves, I think, wants monitoring.
He's down as a defender.
I think there's a circumstance where he ends up playing kind of as a winger, and their fixtures are really good. So, I mean, that is a rogue out there one.
Yeah, I struggle in the defensive because the ownership just gravitates towards. I mean, we mentioned Diaf earlier. I'd probably just throw him in, and it's a very by default pick. Midfielder, James, who do you think could really go off between now and the end of the season?
Somerville.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, particularly if he's back by the Aston Villa game. Forward.
There will be a little bit of interest in Richie. You know what bothers me most about Richie? He's suspended, by the way, he's suspended against Atletico, which is good news for his minutes at the weekend. There's no way he wouldn't play at the moment on Sunday. It's that 3-week break. Is he going to stay fit for a 3-week break? I don't know if he's going to get called up by Brazil or whatever. But honestly, if Richie stays fit between now and the end of the season, I spoke to you about this last week, he will score goals. And I think he would at this moment be the pick over Solanke. I cannot see at this moment how he doesn't play. And I do think there's a scenario where if it's more like Mwani right and Tell left, that I think at this moment, Richarlison probably would get favouritism over Solanke just because of the circumstance we're in. And I agree with that, by the way. So I wouldn't discount Richie. As mad as that sounds. You want another weird one?
Go on.
And this would only be if he got in the team. It's not even played at the weekend. But if something happened to Anthony Gordon, keep an eye on Willa Sula for the running.
I'm going to default to
very rogue.
Yeah, I just default to Sesko. I think he's going to get minutes now between now and the end of the season and will do well. Him and Kai Havertz are the 2 ones I think might go off and do well between now and the end of the season, because Arsenal will be rotating around their forwards, and Gyökeres and Havertz will be the 2 that will be getting the minutes. I think Havertz could do all right if he can get the minutes.
Well, I mean, consequence, by the way, of the results at the weekend. I said to you last week, I think Arsenal will go to City and win in Gameweek 33. Now, if they do, it's well over, obviously. There was a consequence about this for Arsenal assets in the running. If they're in the Champions League and look at Liverpool at the back end of last season.
Yeah, agreed. All right, cool. James, we'll wrap the episode there. Listeners, as we said, a whole bunch of content coming at you this week. So most importantly, stay safe. James has said it before, and I'll reiterate it. Keep your powder dry and keep your transfers close to your chest whilst the rest of the European fixtures and so on play out. Maybe we'll get some fixture announcements. Look after yourselves. We'll be back at you over the course of the week. Ciao for now.
Stone cold ending, Suj. Happy 3/16 day, everyone. Be nice to each other. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.